Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are back here with Dr. Laura Garland. Exciting to have her here. And she's a Reiki master, holistic inspiration coach, and so much more. Welcome back to the show today, darling. How are you?
I'm doing really well, Jill. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. You know, just 3 days before Christmas. So you got that excitement, that anxiety, all the above, and a lot of energy around. I think everyone, the hustle and bustle of it all.
Yes. It's a magical time of year.
Beautifully said,
Whether you celebrate Christmas or not, it doesn't matter. It's the energy that we feel that's in the air. Hopefully we can have a little bit of goodwill toward men, women, and everyone else.
Yeah.
This holiday, it's a time of year where people can be really elated, but at the same time can be really down on themselves. It's a very, very strange thing. People will put on the mask of being super happy and really into it, and then they'll go back to wherever their room is and be really down on themselves. And this is a really great time of year to consider what kind of judgments we're making about ourselves, about others too, but definitely about ourselves, because we look at everyone else, we see their Facebook profiles and their happy Facebook lives, and we all know that that's not real. It isn't. Or their Snapchat or Instagram lives, whatever your favorite thing is that you do. And so we look at people and we're like, we're not that. And well, the thing is they're not that either.
Exactly.
They're not that either. And so we make judgments about how we've been behaving, about what we've been doing. And then we see family or friends that we haven't seen in quite a long time. Maybe you go back to hometown and people will make judgments about you that may not be true at all. And they may say things, they may do things. And we've got to be able to reconcile what's going on with what's real and what's not real.
Yeah.
And that's become slightly more difficult in the last number of years, what's real and what's not real out there. And you may be going to family situations where somebody may have been sucked into QAnon or something like that, where there's a lot of conspiracy and there's a lot of stuff that isn't real. And then you want to make a judgment about them. And then, of course, then you realize you make a judgment about them, and then you're down on yourself because you made a judgment about them, and it becomes this terrible spiral, especially if you do have friends or relatives who have ended up being sucked into something on social media that isn't necessarily true. And so we got to be really, really careful this season. So many of us have already lost so many friends and family members, been pushed away.
Let alone everyone's pushed away. This isolation concept with our masks on and social distancing and the COVID numbers going back up again and again, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just had to make a new sign for our facility, reminding people to please wear masks because Omicron is on the rise. And it's, I had a client come in who's like, why do I have to wear a mask? And I'm like, well, and so I had to do a whole explanation in it, and it was really tough because the client had been sucked into some of those online conspiracies about things, and I had to try to work through it with them. I'm not sure that they bought in, but that's okay. A lot of this is almost there's a sense of brainwashing And so when you go to family and friends that you haven't seen in a long time for the holidays, it's just really important to not have that judgment, because that's just going to make everything worse. And it's not in the spirit of the time of the year. Again, whether you celebrate Christmas or not, it doesn't matter. It's the time of year spirit that we're really wanting to think about right now. I mean, last night, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, it was the longest night of the year. Literally the longest number of hours of darkness of the year. And that often leads to introspection this time of year. We look inward, we see inward. And again, there's that judgment that just keeps coming up. We judge what we have done for the last year and are like, oh my God, I'm going to have the same New Year's resolutions for the 10th year in a row. Oh no.
Yeah.
I just had yesterday a client tell me that, and I'm like, well, let's work on that.
Yeah.
Let's actually, when we hit the new year, hit it running here, and actually work on at least one of those resolutions, so we don't have to do it next year. Because it was the standard pattern of I'm gonna eat less things that are bad for me. I'm going to exercise more, going to sleep more, going to get more water, all of these things. And it's like, oh yeah, I've been saying that for 10 years. I'm like, okay, let's hit at least one of those this year. And that, because she was really down on herself, judging because she hadn't really done a lot of eating better, sleeping better, getting any exercise, and just drinking the proper amount of water. Just a judgment on that just hit. And I just thought, I was like, oh, let's not go there. Because that, again, it's the opposite of the spirit of the year, but this time of year. So how much water should we drink? I get that all the time, because when I was growing up, it was always the 8 cups of water a day. And I always thought that was weird, because I'm like, well, how? My dad's a fairly big guy, and he weighs more than my mom, who's, kind of petite.
Your mom's like drowning over here. Yeah.
And then I'm like, and I'm a little kid. And when I was a kid, I was one of those kids that you could turn sideways and you couldn't see, because I was so tiny. And I was like, oh, wow, 8 glasses of water, that's a lot. But the new idea, and has been for a while, is that you take your weight in pounds, you divide it in half, and that's how many ounces you drink. So the only people who should actually have 8 cups of water a day are people who weigh 128 pounds.
Got it.
Happen to weigh 128 pounds, and they divide that in half at 64, and 64 is 8 cups of water.
Got it. Okay, makes sense.
So if you're petite and under 128 pounds, then you don't have to drink the 8 cups of water a day. Now, if you're working out really hard, or you do a sauna or something like that, then yes, you have your water, definitely. But if you're under the 128, you don't have to do the 8 cups a day. You figure out how much that is. If you're over 128 pounds, you need to be drinking more than 8 cups of water a day.
Mom.
Yeah. So, some of the big guys out there who, work out a lot, and they're hitting 200 pounds, that's 100 ounces of water a day.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's a lot of liquid. I don't do enough myself.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. So you really gotta actually think about that. And because water, and the reason I'm talking about water is because it's one of the easiest and most basic things to do to stay healthy. Dehydration is one of the biggest causes of us getting sick, especially in the winter. Luckily, a lot of us wearing our masks.
Yeah.
I have mine beside me, because when I go out of this room, I got to go put it on to wander around our facility. And when we're out in the the grocery store or whatever, if you're wearing your mask, that's going to prevent not just COVID. There's flu out there too. Last year, I think we had something like less than 3,000 cases of flu in the entire United States,
Wow.
when usually we have somewhere between 30 and 60,000 deaths, actually 30 and 60,000 deaths due to the flu every year. And last year we had 3,000 cases. I might be slightly wrong on that. So if a numbers Nazi out there, I'm terribly sorry. But it was really, really, really low. And it was because everybody was mitigating. And we were using our hand sanitizer. We were using our hand sanitizer like crazy. Every time you walked out of a store last year, you were putting on your hand sanitizer. Keep doing this, because flu is still out there. So every time you come out of the store, use your hand sanitizer. If you are in a store, we're still using our masks because Omicron is super contagious, and the flu is out there. Colds are out there. We had a couple of clients had to cancel this week because their children were homesick with a stomach bug of some sort, and then the parents got it. So there's hand washing and the masks are going to really help keep us healthy, so that we don't have a New Year's resolution next year of we're still dealing with COVID.
So true. And at this rate, I have a feeling we're all going to be back home as well. Honestly, soon. I think it might happen again where we're shutting down. I mean, New York City is a little crazy right now. I mean, everywhere is crazy. You're in South Carolina, right?
I am.
So I
am. We're on the edge because I'm on the coast right here. We can see it creeping down from the northern part of the state, the mountainous part of the state where it was colder sooner. And so people went inside, and you can see it creeping across. And yesterday it was, for us, very chilly here. We were in the 40s with rain and a wind, and that's just nasty. I would actually prefer like 25 with sun than low upper 30s rain and wind. I really would. Yeah. But it just, you can see stuff creeping in. And I know we won't shut down here. It won't happen here. We did it back April of 2020, but we won't do it again. We've been told that won't happen again. But that just means that anyone who's not having that happen needs to have their masks even more. Because again, it's not just COVID. It's the flu. It's multiple colds that several of them are like real. Like I said, they're actually some sort of stomach thing that apparently lasts more than 24 hours. No, I haven't had it, but
no, absolutely.
Not a happy thing. Now, back to the water. Why is the water important? Our nasal passages and all of that are where a lot of these things get in, even if you are wearing your mask. And the mucous membrane in the winter particularly gets dry. You get like a really dry nasal cavity and all of that. When that's not properly wet, it actually allows any of the viruses or bacteria straight into your nasal cavity and into the cells. The wet mucus keeps them out. That's the whole point of it. It prevents it. So if you're dehydrated, you're not going to have enough in your nasal cavity and in your throat to keep the stuff out. So that's another reason to drink. Make sure you're getting weight and half, take and that many ounces of water. And it's very important that it needs to be water, especially not juice. Especially not juice. The sugar content of the juice.
Yes.
The sugar content of the juice is not good. I mean, I like a little bit of juice just because it has the vitamins in it that you can get without having to take a multivitamin or whatever. But I only have 6 ounces of juice when I'm going to have it. I don't have ever more than that, and I don't have it multiple times a day, and I don't even have it every day. So juice doesn't really count. weirdly, cow's milk can count. I'm not so sure on the other varieties of milk, but cow's milk or goat's milk actually is super, super hydrating. I mean, if you think about it, you know, it's supposed to go to babies and it's supposed to keep them alive. So, so it's super hydrating because it has the exact electrolytes you need and all of that. So if you do cow's milk or goat's milk or something like that, that can count towards your total fluid during the day. Non-caffeinated tea can certainly count. Green tea, its caffeine is low enough, and they've now realized that caffeine isn't quite as dehydrating as they thought. So green tea can count too.
Okay.
As long as you're not putting a whole bunch of sugar in it. Again,
yeah.
the sugar is actually a bit dehydrated. Anybody who has diabetes can tell you that when their blood sugar goes up, they suddenly have to urinate a lot. So because the body's trying to flush it. And so sugar can be a bit dehydrating. Alcohol also doesn't count. You can't count any alcoholic drinks. Yeah. They are very, actually alcohol is really quite dehydrating because the body's going to try to push the toxin, because alcohol is a toxin and the breakdown products are a toxin. It's going to try to push it out of the system as quickly as it can. So alcohol is dehydrating. Caffeinated soda doesn't count.
Aww.
Yeah, I know. Caffeinated soda doesn't count, especially sugar content soda. I'm not even going to get into the fake sugars on that. There's evidence that the fake sugars actually make your body react like it's real sugar, which is just kind of pointless. So I don't know. Yeah, they've done studies in taking the fake sugar, your body still responds like it's getting sugar, and it triggers all of the metabolic pathways like it's sugar. It's very bizarre. They're not even sure how and why it does it yet, at least last that I read. So I don't know. We won't get into the fake sugars. We'll just kind of lump them in with the sugar and say, done. Watch your soda intake. Because we don't want to have judgment about ourselves next year at this time saying, why did we not up our fluid intake like we all have said we're going to do? Because we know that that's one of the things that's really, really super good for us. At this time of year, if you didn't do so well this last year, or you have family or friends who didn't do so well this last year, forgiveness. This is definitely the time of year to do that, because forgiveness is not about excusing what someone else did. It's not about excusing it. It's not about saying it's okay. When you feel something happened that was a bad interaction between you and someone else, there's an energetic tie between you. And every time you think about it, you send energy to that thing. And you keep sending your energy to that thing, that time frame, that person, that thing that happened that you keep telling everybody about, that you keep talking to yourself about, and you just keep sending the energy repeatedly. And over here, that's your energy's gone. You can't use it. Forgiveness is about breaking the energetic connection so that you're not continually sending your energy. That's what it's about. It's about breaking that connection, taking your energy and keeping it within yourself, and allowing yourself to no longer have that reaction, whatever that reaction is, whether it's sadness or anger, whichever way it goes, you've been sending the energy. If you break the connection, it's about keeping your energy to yourself so that you have more energy to do stuff with, because then you can get out there and hit one of those other favorite New Year's resolutions, which is exercise more.
Yes. Eat healthier, exercise, lose weight. It's always the same on everyone's list. Everyone. I don't care if you're like supermodel skinny. Everyone wants to get better at their health, their body, their everything. It's just, you can't. It's like a commonality. We realize we're doing something wrong. We're not feeling our best because we're not eating the right way. We're not exercising enough. And then not everyone sticks to it.
Yeah. And that's why it rolls around and it's the same thing next year, because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm actually 2 pounds heavier than I was last year, or something like that. Yeah, it's really easy to do okay during a year and gain a pound and a half. But if you think about that between the ages of 20 and 40, oh, whoops, you've gained 20 to 30 pounds between 20 and 40. Oh, if you push that all the way to 50, yeah, we're definitely hitting 30 pounds heavier than we were when we were 20 if we just keep doing okay. Maybe this year we can do better than okay. Take some energy from this time of the year, give up some of our judgments, stop judging ourselves. Okay, you can forgive yourself too. That's a huge one, right? We can be so hard on ourselves, so very hard on ourselves. And because in the case of being hard on ourselves, we're actually sending energy to the past, pretty much is what it is. Okay, so you're sending energy to the past, which isn't now, which yeah, that's not helping. So forgiving yourself breaks the energetic tie to the past, so that you can have your energy now, so that you can do better now, so that you can feel better now, so that you can do your health now, so you can be there for your loved ones now, so that you can be there for the world now, whatever it is that you're doing in the world to help. And hopefully, I think a lot of people who listen to this probably are doing something to help. And if you break the tie to the past, if you break the tie where you're giving energy to other people, then you have that energy to work in the now. And there's so much out there that talks about being in the now. And especially during this time of year, it's just, you can soak up the happy energy that's going on, and we can be happy in the now, which is the reason for the season. Be happy in the now.
It's the reason for the season, right? Yes, I like that.
Didn't mean to rhyme it like that, but you know what?
Very cute. It's a new like Hallmark Christmas card you're gonna have. Dr. Laura Garland. Your name will be assigned at the bottom in script.
So yeah, I mean, and then we have one other thing we could talk about, which is discipline. This is the time of year when we tend to really fall off discipline. And believe it or not, people often gain their 1 pound between Thanksgiving and New Year's.
Easy.
They'll hold their weight all the rest of the year, and they'll gain that pound between Thanksgiving and New Year's, and then never lose it in the next year. And so discipline doesn't have to be terrible. It's not a naughty word. It's not a terrible word. It's thinking more in moderation.
Okay.
It's more about moderation right now. You know, there are still a few holiday parties that are going on. We talked about this with Thanksgiving. Don't hit the dessert row 4 times. Don't hit it 3 times.
So hard. Easier said than done.
Yeah. I know. But we have holiday dinners and friends dinners and all of this going on, and then New Year's Eve is coming up. But hopefully we'll talk next week. Are we on next week?
I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Then we can definitely talk about New Year's Eve next week, but we'll talk about holiday parties right now and discipline and holiday dinner. The discipline to, if you go to a party, get your plate, fill it once. And if it looks completely full, you're going to have that feeling. It's a mental trick. You fill it, and there it is, and you eat off of that, and then you're done. And the same when you go to your holiday dinner. You get the plate, you fill it once with everything. Don't go back for seconds. Eat slowly too. The more you chew, the more the satiation sense hits your stomach. And yes, thank you. I was going to get to that. If you have a real problem with wanting to go back for more and more and more, drink a bottle of water before you have dinner, or a glass of water before you have dinner. I would not suggest drinking water that is highly alkaline. So if you have a pH above 8 water, I would not suggest doing that before you eat, because that's going to dilute the acid in your stomach. And then you're gonna have stomach upset, because you're not gonna break down the food. You're still gonna eat a lot. You're gonna want to do that no matter what. And then you're gonna have no acid in your stomach, or diluted acid to not break it down. So I know some people are into the water that's over a pH of 9. Yeah. Please do not do that with your meal. It's not going to be good. If you live in the Northeast, most of the tap water up there is somewhat acidic. So that's really good to go. If you live in the mid-continent or down here, our tap water is already a pH of like 9, which wow, so you got bottled water tends to be right around neutral. So I would do that more than do something with a really high pH. Right. So that's just some ideas for
tips to get us through. Yeah, the next, oh my gosh, 3 days till Christmas. Then we got New Year's. We have so much coming up here. Dr. Laura Griffith Garland joining us today, Reiki Master, Holistic Inspiration Coach. Is that what I call it? She's a coach. She's amazing. Let's remind everyone how they can reach out to you and how they can work with you, if you don't mind.
Sure. You can go to the website, which is charlestonreikiandtarot.com, or the overarching website, which is actually charlestonholisticcenter.com, or direct email, drlaura.coach@gmail.com. It's drlaura.coach@gmail.com, or phone 843-259-8349.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas, and looking forward to next week when we speak, okay? Have a great holiday with your family.
You too. You too.
Thank you so much. And to all of our listeners and saying, stay tuned. More of the show is on the way. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.